Randy did a great job in presenting 1 Peter. But at the heart of 1 Peter was persecution. Remember, our brothers and sisters early on in the first century went through some pretty serious stuff. And I think that's really the background of that first letter. Remember, Peter actually said, he brought up the idea of the fiery trials that are among you. And he talks about the devil prowls like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. So we know from history of that time that they were going through literal trials, fiery trials. Go back and study under the persecution of Nero, the Roman emperor, and how cruel he was. I mean, things that we can't even comprehend that he did to our brothers and sisters in Christ. I believe it's Tacitus who brought up that idea that Christians were an illumination in the garden of Nero. In other words, he burned them to death in his garden, and he took pleasure in those things. Those were some of the trials of our brothers and sisters early on. Now, when you get to Peter's second letter, it's not really the emphasis of persecution as much as it is false teachers. Not that they didn't go through persecution. I think there was some of that as well at the time. But what Peter stresses in his second letter isn't persecution, it's false teaching. And the struggle that they were going through with these false teachers and their persuasion. Now, I presented the argument that probably much of this was the Gnostic persuasion. I believe that was a big part of the problem, and there's a lot to that teaching. But that superior knowledge, in other words, there were things about Jesus that were true that they did not believe, and they taught differently, a superior knowledge, more than Jesus, and they kind of had the key to that knowledge where others did not. But Gnosticism, I think, was part of that. Look at chapter 2.